I know what you're saying. You're saying, hey, Kerry, the stock market's already crashed. Weren't you there? It's down 20, 25%. Oh, fella, I just want you to know you ain't seen nothing yet. Man, and I understand you weren't here for the subprime crisis, and I know you weren't here for the dot-com bubble. We're only halfway down, and it could go further than that because the dot-com bubble was just about over-exuberance, about a newfangled thing called the internet, and the subprime crisis. That was nothing but some bad banking and some overpriced real estate, and that was nothing. I mean, banks failed. This is war. This is war. The sides are being chosen, and we're in for a major crash. And I'm going to tell you how it's going to happen and where the bottom is right after this.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
Why am I so confident that the stock market's going to crash and double down as far as it is now? So I'm looking at about a 50% correction when it's all over. And that would equal what the subprime crisis is or was and what the dot-com bubble was. Why am I convinced of that? Well, we all know that our interest rates are going to continue to go up, and inflation is going to continue as a result of the overabundance of cash that came into our markets over the last 2 years. Our debt has gone from 20 trillion to 30 trillion in less than 2 years. So we know that's happening, but that's really not the issue. We'll get through that. That isn't going to take us down another 25 points. But what will is what's happening overseas. And this is last week, Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin met in one of those countries I can't pronounce and came to an agreement. Vladimir basically said, I'm getting my butt kicked in Ukraine and I need your help. And Xi Jinping said, yeah, we're having a real estate crisis, a financial crisis, and the U.S. is shutting down or closing down the amount that they're buying from us, and we're going to run out of U.S. dollars eventually, so we need your help too. So they basically said, how can we help each other? How can we get out from underneath the thumb of the United States and get this thing settled? And they've come to some agreement. This is real important to Xi Jinping because next month he's got to go before the Communist Party and plead his case for another term. And he's on some thin ice. I mean, he's got a real estate crisis. He's got a banking crisis. He's got de-globalization. His demographics are upside down. His women aren't having babies, and they're losing their tax base, and now we're trying to make everything we need. In fact, the U.S. has now put sanctions basically telling high tech, big tech, do not sell anything of semiconductors or the ability to make semiconductors or any of that to China if you want to do trade with us. So we're just closing down on these two countries, and they're drowning, and when you drown, you do whatever it takes to survive. And so they have chosen sides, and this is going to have some ramifications. Hell, we just heard the CEO of FedEx say he's been flying planes over to China to pick up goods so that he could distribute them to retailers, and the planes are coming back half empty. All you got to do is go out to the port in L.A. and look out there, and there's about 9 ships that are waiting to come in. Well, there were 90 ships waiting to come in just 4 months ago. So the goods that are coming out of China are are not coming down. And if you don't believe me, ask Amazon. They're laying off 10,000 people. Why would they do that? Because they don't have goods to ship. They're closing 100 of their last mile distribution centers, 100 of them, and then they had plans to make more major distribution centers, and they've canceled 10 of those. Now, you've got Walmart laying off people. You're going to, and I want you to go to Walmart and Target, and you're going to start seeing some empty shelves. And it's because we can't get the goods. It's not because of a pandemic. It's because this de-globalization. Everybody is motivated to de-globalize. When I say everybody, not China. And then you've got the situation that happened just this last week, where Germany is now coming in and seizing Russian assets in their country. A refinery, a $1 million refinery, they went in and said it belonged to Germany, it belonged to Russia, and they said, it's ours now. And I got to thinking about that. I live in Birmingham, Alabama. Out to the west of us, out by Tuscaloosa, we have a Mercedes plant. Out to the east of us, we have a Honda plant. And south of us, we have a Hyundai plant. So that's a German auto company, a Japanese auto company, and a Korean company. What if our governor brought up the National Guard and said, go seize those three plants and tell Japan and Germany and Korea they're now ours? What would Japan, Germany, and Korea do? Well, I suspect they'd seize any assets that we had in their country. Does that sound like friction? Does that sound like something you want to get out of the way of? I think it does. And how would you get out of the way of it? Well, I would say that if you own stock in anything that could be affected by our governor, Governor Ivey, not repossessing, she never owned them, just seizing a German auto plant, a Japanese auto plant, and a Korean auto plant, you better get out of the way. That's what's happening. And it's happening, and our stock market is still talking about interest rates, or our talking heads are, and our senators. They aren't talking about this at all because they don't pay attention. Apparently all they do is watch each other on the evening news. They don't recognize that our world is going into a dark place that we haven't been in since the late 1930s. 30s and 40s, as Hitler was taking his stand to rectify the injustice that had been put on through the reparations that they were paying for World War II. And he was able to rise to power because of the bad economic situations in Germany. Well, the same thing is happening in Russia. I mean, go find me a Russian car that you can buy, a TV, a computer. What can you buy that is from Russia? Vodka, caviar. Now in Europe, they can buy gas and oil. But wait a second, because they are opposing Vladimir's movements into Ukraine, he's cutting off the oil. That's why Germany seized the plant. Look at what's happening. Don't tie yourself up with interest. That will take care of itself, but this other won't. And when the shit hits the fan, the stock market's going to wake up some morning and it's just going to, it's going to be like a toilet flushing. And if you're sitting there holding it, you're going down. So what do? You go to cash. I know cash is trash, but not much anymore. I just did a video on I-bonds where you can get 9% for your cash. I'm now searching for the banks that'll give, which will, because I don't know when this is going to turn around. Now, the other thing that I'm doing is I'm holding my biotech stocks. I believe that sometime in the future, I don't know when, I don't know if it's next week or 10 years from now, they're going to find a cure for cancer. They're going to find a cure for Alzheimer's. So I'm holding that. That has absolutely nothing to do with the tenuous situation that we're getting in as a result of deglobalization. I want you to go find Peter Zion's YouTube channel. He's right now, he's touring around Canada, and every day, sometimes 2 times a day, he just blurts out what's happening in the Russian, the Chinese world. If you have not read this book, you're behind the 8 ball. You don't know what's going to happen and why it's going to happen. This is the end of the world is just the beginning. Mapping the Collapse of Globalization by Peter Zion. If you don't belong to, what is it? Audible, the earplug, read the book to you. You can go on down in my my description and get a link to sign up for Audible and get this book. If you're new to Audible, you can get this book free. So do that. If you have not read this, you're really behind the 8 ball. And go find Peter's YouTube channel, and he'll fill you in with things that nobody else is talking about. He's I assume he's an economist, and he has knowledge. He talks about the countries over there. I can't pronounce their name. So do that. But really, look at your portfolio. And I know you're saying to yourself, yeah, but I don't want to take this loss on Apple or Amazon or Google. I don't want to take it. Well, if you don't take it now, it's going to be a bigger loss sometime soon. And get on the sidelines so that when this does happen and the bottom falls out and we hit the bottom and say it ain't getting any worse, and I'll tell you when I think the bottom's there, then you can buy in. This is when big money is made. I want to show you an Excel spreadsheet that will show you if you just get out when the getting's good and then get back in when the getting is real good, the amount you can make in the stock market changes almost tenfold. You just avoid the bad times and absorb the good times. All right, I want to show you that. Okay, this is the Excel spreadsheet I wanted to share with you. What I did was go back and get the returns on investment from Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, NVIDIA, and Google from their IPO and said, okay, if I only put $10,000 in each of those 5 stocks at their IPO, what would I have today? And you can see here, I would have $47,109,991. And that then what I'm tracking is their return year after year, including 22, and I'm showing what their current losses were at that time. So what I then said was, well, what if I just avoided the 2000, 2001, 2000, the 2008, and the 2022. What if I just avoided those, meaning that I took the money out and got 0% on my money? What would I have if I had done that? And so what I did was alter the chart, and as you can see, I put the zeros in there on each one of them, and then came down and found out that rather than 47 million, I'd have 437 million. 430. That's almost a tenfold increase. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to go to cash. You're not putting your money to work. No, you're basically keeping it from losing money. And that's the net effect. If you can avoid the bad times and just absorb the good and the not so good, but just avoid the bad times, you can tenfold increase the return on your money. So that's a little something to tell your grandkids. Hey, Carrie taught me a secret. Just avoid the bad times. And we're going in to some really bad times. Okay, that's where I'm at. Again, some of the points I came up. As I said, Amazon's laying off people. And I know some of you are saying, I'm not going to sell my Tesla. 55% of the cars that Tesla made last year, were made in China and sold in China. That's going away. 48% of the cars made by General Motors and sold by General Motors were made and sold in China. That's going away. It's going away. So get away from it. As I said, FedEx, their shipments out of China on their airplanes are down 50%. Pay attention to the little things. You know those steel balls that bang, you pull one and it goes bing, bing. That's action and reaction. And that's what you've got to watch right now. And for me, I believe so strongly, I have shorted the S&P, and I've shorted the NASDAQ, and I've shorted China. And then I have bought LNG, which is a liquid natural gas, because when Vladimir turns the pipes off, these people need to heat their houses. They need to run their electric plants. And that'll be done with natural gas, and LNG does liquefied natural gas. So be aware. I've been there before. I've been in this fight before, and I know what it looks like. Get defensive. Be prepared. All right, I'll talk to you again tomorrow.